Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for charging my friends rent then keeping the money for myself? AITA for telling my wife we're not going to pay our fair share for her parents' assisted living? AITA for calling my 8-year-old selfish. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for charging my friends rent then keeping the money for myself? This will be my first year in college. When I got accepted, the first person I told was my uncle. We're very close because he took care of me when I was little because of my parents' crazy work schedules. Anyway, my grades were good enough to get me in, but not enough to get me any scholarships. That means I'll have to take out loans for tuition and work for my expenses. When my uncle found out, he said I should just concentrate on school instead of working, but my dad, his brother, said that money is tight right now, so my parents can't help me out as much as they want to. My uncle has investment properties all over the place, so he said it's not a big deal for him to buy another one near my campus, which he did. Then he had contractors renovate the house so emerging in there is brand new. He even had them install a bay window in the master bedroom just for me, and I got to pick out everything else like the carpet and counters. He told me he wants me to concentrate on school and not work. Instead, I can be his landlady and rent out the other 3 bedrooms and keep that money to fund my expenses. I have a group of friends who are attending the same school, so I made a deal with them. Studio apartments are going between $900 to $1,500, not including utilities, around the campus, with the expensive ones being closer. My uncle's house is 1 street over from campus, so I can literally walk to class every day. I'm charging my friends $700 per room, or if they double up, $350 per person per month, and split utilities evenly. They all jumped at the offer, and no one asked any questions until recently when one of them asked me how much the overall rent was. I was honest and told them about my uncle and our deal. That blew up in my face because now every one of my friends are calling me greedy for charging them rent then pocketing the money. We're all in a huge fight, and they all want to either pay nothing or throw a couple hundred in for utilities. I cried to my uncle, but he said now that I'm an adult, I need to make my own adult decision. He'll stand by my decision. I don't want to lose my friends, but I don't want to disappoint my family with bad grades either. I thought I was being fair with rent, but literally all of my friends are calling me a greedy AH. Update. Thank you for reading my post and giving me advice. I went to my uncle, this time without crying, and told him some of the advice given on here and asked him for his advice. This time he didn't tell me to make my own adult decisions and told me he was waiting for this conversation. This is what we agreed to do. I texted all of my friends, former, and told them because of the arguments and hurt feelings, we can no longer live together. My uncle offered to work out a lease for me in the beginning, but I refused because these were my friends. Because no one signed a lease, we didn't have to break any. I was worried about them suing, but my uncle said that the law in our state requires anything to do with real estate be in writing. Unlike other situations, real estate deals cannot be oral, so I'm good. This time I took him up on the offer of creating a lease for me to have new tenants sign. We spent the morning researching rent prices and making ads. My friends and I made the agreement at the beginning of summer. Now that there's only a couple of weeks left until school starts, we found almost nothing within 3 miles of campus. There were some options further out, but nothing was cheaper than $1,200 for a shared room, and that was in an old house with window AC units and 5 miles from campus. When the house was being renovated, my uncle had central air and heating installed. We came to a rent price of $1,300 and placed ads in several places, including FB. Within an hour, I got a dozen messages. It's 4 p.m. now and I literally have over 100 messages. Many of them don't even need to see the house in person. Based off of the pictures and location, they want to submit their application today. Some even offered to send me the deposit, and one person said her dad will pay me the full semester amount today. My uncle gave me some advice that was exactly what you guys said. Never mix money with friends or I might lose both, and never tell anybody my business. He told me not to lie, just keep quiet. Thanks again and have a great weekend, you wonderful people. Your NTA. They're getting a great deal, but instead of focusing on that, they're seething with envy. Your uncle didn't buy and renovate that home so that your jealous friends could have a free place to live. He invested in that home so you could have a place to stay and an income while you're in school. Don't back down, OP. Your friends are not entitled to a free roof over their heads just because you have one. Yup. OP should tell them to go rent a different place if they are unhappy with circumstances. NTA. Will your friends pay for your tuition? All of the groceries? Similar happened with someone I know. The issue is they saw you as an equal and now they see you as someone in a position of power with them. They are now lower than you, and that's gonna breed a whole lot of resentment. What you can do is tell them, look, my uncle wanted to rent these rooms out at 1.4K each. I convinced him to do me a favor and let me rent the room to my friends. Convince them they are getting a huge deal. ITX gives you a shot at salvaging this. NTA. This is a good answer. Your uncle is teaching you a very valuable life lesson. The question is if you will learn it. There will always be free IOTers in your life. How will you handle them? Just say no to couch hippies. You're insane, just replace them and charge the same rent for other people. NTA. Tell them if they are not comfortable with this arrangement, that you'd rather they find a new place so you cannot talk about money and continue being friends. You'll see how they quickly turn around and say it's not like that and they want to continue living with you. They are just guilt-tripping you. NTA. You gave them the hand and now they want to take the arm. I'm sure they will regret it when they get evicted and have to pay much more. I would get so much evil satisfaction from seeing them backpedal when they're shown the door, lol. AITA for telling my wife we're not going to pay our fair share for her parents' assisted living? This whole situation has gotten way out of hand to the point everyone is yelling at everyone and I'm sleeping in the guest bedroom. My wife's parents are at the point in their lives where they can no longer live by themselves. Their children decided the best place for them is an assisted living facility. They started to look into different facilities and admittedly, I didn't help because I figured the 5 adult siblings could handle it and I was never close to my in-laws. They found one that was perfect and my wife was very excited when she told me about it. I was less than thrilled when I found out our contribution will be roughly $3,000 upfront than $5,000 a month. I immediately questioned why it cost roughly $15,000 upfront fee and $25,000 a month for 2 people in an assisted living apartment. I admit I sarcastically asked if their apartment is next door to Elon Musk's parents. She then told me that we're going to cover the lion's share of the costs because we make more than her siblings. That was the beginning of a week of texts, phone, and in-person arguments. She argues that her siblings make less money combined than we do and some are single so it would impact them more, thus so it's only fair we pay more. She also argues that this facility is not the best or most expensive, it's a mid-tier one with the best ratings. According to her, anything lower have bad ratings and could put her parents' safety in jeopardy. My argument is that there are 5 siblings so the costs should be divided equally between the 5 of them. I also argued that if 5 people can't afford that place, they need to lower their standards. That started a circular argument for hours between cost and safety. I couldn't take it anymore and in the heat of the moment, I yelled. We don't make more than your brothers and sisters, I make more than all of you, which is why you all want me to cover the cost for your parents. That was the beginning of my night sleeping in the guest bedroom. I know as a married couple I shouldn't consider mine and yours income, but realistically I do make more than all of them and I think it's unfair to make me pay the largest portion. What do you all think? Update. I'm going to answer some questions. I assumed it was $25,000 a month because I assumed it was split 5 ways between the siblings and our share was $5,000 a month. It'll be closer to $10,000 a month and our share is $5,000. Her parents have assets including a house, so I was told they don't qualify for government assistance. I brought up the idea of selling their house but was shot down immediately. The siblings want to keep the house in the family because their great-grandfather built it or something. I can afford to pay it, but I don't want to based on principle. Their division means I'll be paying $5,000 a month while the youngest brother will be paying only $300 a month and will be living in the house. Their thinking is that he'll be paying the insurance and taxes on the house, so he can't afford more than $300. Another update. I'm the only child to my parents. While they planned out their retirement, they worked their entire lives to put me through school and supported me through several degrees. I will be solely responsible for and will make sure their remaining days will be comfortable. Per your suggestion, I asked my wife if we're going to contribute this much money to her parents, how they're going to contribute to my parents when their time comes. She answered, "Don't be an idiot, that's an entirely different situation. I don't want ownership of their house because it's very old and needs major work." I brought up the idea of selling the house again and it was shot down again. They're not budging on it. None of us know the laws and regulations when it comes to this, so I finally got her to agree for us to sit down with an estate attorney. Unless I feel up to it, this is probably the last update. I feel completely emotionally drained. I always knew my parents would get old, but I never thought about it. I'm pretty sure alimony would be cheaper. NTA. Either that or pay for a live-in carer. If that doesn't work, they have no choice but to sell the property. No reason for them to assume OP should be financially responsible for their parents. NTA, the parents sell the house and live off the assets until used up, then the family kick in. Unless you are guaranteed that house or proceeds from sale, this is ludicrous. NTA. The fact that you were left out of the decision process and then expected to pony up the equivalent of a $700,000 mortgage payment is a really unreasonable ask. The cost should be split evenly. If it can't be afforded, then they need to find a cheaper place. I would not be part of a family that uses just marry a guy who makes a lot of money and have him pay it as their long-term parents' care plan. I am still bowled away by. I brought up the idea of selling their house but was shot down immediately. The siblings want to keep the house in the family because their great-grandfather built it or something. Mom can't spend her money, the value of the house, because we want to inherit it, but she can sure spend OPs. NTA, of course, in a marriage there shouldn't be a mine/yours argument going on, but the fact your wife agreed to pay more, knowing it's coming out of your income, isn't acceptable. It is not your parents. Of the 5 siblings, single-handedly cannot afford it. It is too expensive. I could never imagine paying so much, and I also have 4 siblings. None of us could afford that, single or married. Not your parents, not your problem. Either they find a cheaper option or they divide it equally under the 5 siblings, no spouses. NTA, I think the real issue is the fact that your wife made a decision for you both that impacts you significantly, without your input. I hope that you're able to work through this. What can the siblings afford with everyone making an equal contribution? That's the nursing home price you need to look at. Do your in-laws have any wealth? House, investment property, savings, pensions, those resources should be exhausted before anyone pays a penny. If you overpay and your in-laws do have assets when they die, are the siblings going to give you a significantly higher inheritance? I think not. NTA. NTA. Understood that you're married. But unless this expectation was clearly communicated to you before getting married, you are not responsible for her parents. Let your wife and her siblings figure it out. AITA for calling my 8-year-old selfish. I have 3 kids, 7, 8, 10, and my sister has 2, 7 and 10. We went on vacation together recently and we took the kids to a zoo that also had a few rides. The kids went on the rides while my sister and I got coffee nearby. We told them to meet us at a certain table when they were done. My 8-year-old came to me much earlier than her siblings/cousins. I asked if the rides scared her and she said no, she just skipped the lines. I asked for clarification and she said when there was extra space on the ride, they asked for single riders to come up to the front, so she did that for all 5 rides. I told her the point of her going with her siblings and cousins is to have fun with them and that it was selfish for her to leave them so she could cut the line. I told her I understand why she doesn't have many friends if this is how she acts all the time, and she started to cry and ran to my sister. My sister ended up buying her ice cream and said that I was too harsh. She told my husband and he's mad at me for speaking to her like that. AITA for calling my daughter selfish? I would 100% say YTA, you're the asshole. The kid is 8. Instead of treating this as a teaching moment, you tell your own child, I get why you have no friends. The hell is wrong with you? Also, how about, that's awesome you feel so confident in choosing to go solo. And besides, the other kids match up in age 7 to 7 and 10 to 10. Maybe they paired up and she felt left out? YTA. First, I think the kids were too young to just let go on their own. They were nearby, but not in eyesight. That's not good. Second, there was an odd number which isn't good for rides. She took the single rider. They all could have. She was faster. Third, what an awful, awful thing to say to a child. She didn't cut the line. She wasn't selfish. And I bet she has a lot of friends. Way to drive your kid away from you. YTA, your daughter did not cut in line, she volunteered when the ride operator asked for single riders. The point of vacation is to relax and enjoy yourselves. Your daughter did nothing wrong, quite frankly, she's a pretty smart cookie. Just because her idea of fun isn't the same as yours doesn't give you the right to insult your child. I told her I understand why she doesn't have many friends if this is how she acts all the time, and she started to cry and ran to my sister. Yep, YTA, alright. This single rider lines actually make the lines more efficient, it isn't cutting in line in any way. YTA. This was a teaching moment, not annihilate my child moment. Seriously, stopping at that was a selfish decision and offering a constructive way to do better in the future would be great. Going nuclear was unnecessary unless you've had this conversation dozens of times already. YTA. There's 5 kids and I bet they paired up and left her out. Most rides require 2 people. Tell me you dislike your child without telling me you dislike your child. YTA, your words were cruel and inappropriate. Insulting her like a mean girl does not inspire her to change. You scorched her world with this one. I told her I understand why she doesn't have many friends if this is how she acts all the time, and she started to cry and ran to my sister. YTA. You bullied your daughter. Instead of parenting your children, you left them alone and then attack your daughter for her choice to not wait with the others. She'll remember you telling her that she doesn't have friends for the rest of her life. You blamed her for your failure to supervise your own children. She'll remember you telling her that she doesn't have friends for the rest of her life. It takes 2 seconds to think before saying something as disgusting as that, but now her daughter has to live forever with that awful memory. This makes me really sad, man. YTA, there is no way you get to say the words I understand why you don't have many friends and not be the asshole. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.